John, one of the other things that you and I have talked about on several occasions has been how the mainstream media can skew the truth. As a matter of fact, you told me a story one time that I think you were backstage with another economist having a conversation, and you basically agreed on a point, but when the lights and the cameras came on, he actually went the other way in the debate. Could you elaborate a little bit on that story?
Back in late 1989, I was arguing that we were heading into a bad recession, which we were. That was the 1990-91 downturn. And CNBC asked me to come on to make my point on that, and the fellow that came on to argue the other side was the chief economist for a large New York City bank. And we sat in what they call the green room before going on the air, and he asked me what I was thinking, and I gave him my pitch on, severe recession. He looked at me. He said, "Well, I think that's the consensus." And he could have knocked me over with a feather. I'd hardly heard anyone talking about recession. I thought I was out there by myself. So we go on the air, and I say we've got a bad recession ahead, and he says, "Oh, we're going to have a booming economy in the year ahead." And he had to say that because of the job he had with his employer. Wall Street banks, many of them, have to put forth a happy scenario for their shareholders, for their customers. Bad news does not sell stocks and bonds usually. And these guys have to sell stocks and bonds. There are some honest people on Wall Street, but most of the economists who start telling you things that just don't make common sense in terms of what you're seeing, or say, "Oh my goodness, the end's, we're through this, or the recession's going to turn around in April, or stock market's bottom," probably are doing so because it's their job to do so, not because they actually believe that. And I've had that confirmed a number of times with other bank economists. In fact, you see it on the media. I was on a major news network in the last year or so, and I was told that they were under a corporate edict that they had to put a positive spin on all the economic data, regardless of how bad it was.
That is both awful, but it's amazing that actually gets presented that way.
Well, there are a couple of reasons for it. One, in terms of the financial media, most of their advertising revenue comes from Wall Street. So you play to your customers. It is the ironic thing is, and again, talking with people who these would be certain people in the broadcast financial media who specialize in the financial markets and such. They root for stock market crashes. You wouldn't know it by the way they talk. It's generally always happy times are here again. But the reason they root for crashes but don't talk about it is that it boosts their ratings. When people are nervous about the markets, people tune into the financial news channels, and that boosts their ratings and ad revenues.
I tell you, that's scary. It's scary that our nation actually allows that to happen.
That's just standard operating procedure. You do have. In fairness, they do get people who will put out a counterpoint, or take a contrarian position, and you do have some fine economists on Wall Street that will give you a pretty good story, a pretty honest story. But the vast majority of what you hear is what I call Wall Street hype, not actual economic analysis.
Well, John, I've got one final question for you. Back when we talked in May, you made the comment that the banking system was in such dire straits that it could be a threat to national security. Can you give me an update on that? Do you think we have, given the government interventions, do you think we still have another shoe to drop with the banks? And just give me an update on that.
Well, it's tough to tell, but my betting is it's not over yet. They've done everything they could to keep the depositors from losing money, with the exception of what happened with Lehman that caused them all sorts of problems. I'm not quite sure what happened there, why they didn't bail them out. I think it was because it was during the election and they wanted to make a political statement on what they call moral hazard. But generally, all the moves since have been to protect depositors wherever necessary, and I expect that will continue. It doesn't mean that they're going to save banks for shareholders or bondholders, and it sure isn't settled yet where you still see significant money being pumped into large financial institutions. It's ongoing, and it remains a crisis of a magnitude that is one of national security. The government cannot let the banking system fail. If it does, the economy goes with it. Not the economy isn't in serious trouble, but I'm talking cessation of normal commerce again. So it's still a work in progress. But I do think they have made substantial progress in saving the basic functioning of the banks, and they are beginning to get some renewed lending and such underway, which is a positive sign.
Well, John, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your time, and we certainly hope we can have you back on Stock Shots in the near future.
Always a pleasure, and I'll be happy to.
For the rest of this great interview, visit our website, www.stockshots.tv. That's www.stockshotz.tv. Thank you for listening.